you may have noticed we are missing a person. And I stole her bit because I wanted to honor her her contributions to our show. She's not dead, but might be close to it at this point. Good news is the CNCs are both fully vaccinated. I got mine on Wednesday, and so I've had a couple of days to relax, take on the side effects, let them go. Chrissy got hers this morning, 9 a.m., and she was good until about 2:30. So she's resting right now. Or maybe she's watching and supporting me. Also, guys, I'm not naked. I have a dress on that I wanted to show Chrissy because we were talking about our spring dresses because we just want to get the fuck out of the house. But yeah, just I'm just gonna sit up nice and straight and tall. Hi, Richard Malmos. Thanks for joining. Yeah, we're gonna get started with our guest sooner than later because he's a pro at this and he's got a lot of opinions. And Richard, you're always wondering. And Chrissy's watching. Hold on. I'm learning all the tech stuff too, because usually behind the scenes, guys, Chrissy is running all the tech stuff, and I just get to sit here and look pretty. Always. Here, this is what I was going to say. We are honoring you right now because in light of DMX passing away, and I'll talk about this when I bring on our guest, Ken Knapsack, I thought this was really a good point. Master P was interviewed last week when he was in the hospital. It hadn't been confirmed that he passed away yet. And he made mention of like, why aren't we taking care of each other more before it gets to this point, talking about people with addiction or depression, anything like that, any sort of mental illness or when we're struggling, like why does it take getting into the hospital and unconscious for people to start caring and to start their outpouring of love? We should be doing that now. And I think I have the perfect person to bring on to talk about that because he's got this great new network called the Good People Association, and we'll get to that. And yeah, let's do it. Ken Knapsack.
Let's find the good, Claudia.
Let's find the good.
Good and find it now. Hello, friend.
Hello. Cheers.
Cheers, indeed. I'm drinking a non-sponsor beverage.
But if you want to sponsor us, we're in for it. I'm drinking a coconut water and vodka, electrolytes.
Tell me more about this. I see Chrissy watching. I'm disappointed and sad. Not disappointed. Like I'm sad Chrissy's not here, but I'm also so happy for her.
But you guys, we all did a sketch together, and so we have all met. We did a sketch with Dorina Ariano.
Yep.
That sucks. She's drinking water. Wah, wah.
I don't know. I think doctors recommend washing down the vaccine with tequila. I've heard.
I think that's all the guys in the kitchen of every kitchen that I've worked, restaurant that I've worked at has said. Anytime I was sick, they're like tequila. I'm like,
yeah, I know. Cowboy Cure whiskey. What? Oh wait. So tell me a little bit. Coconut water and vodka.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was kind of one of those things of like a discovery late night when you don't have anything else in the kitchen, any other mixer. You're on your last leg. And I was like, I have coconut water, but it's actually delicious.
Yeah.
And I've never had a hangover with it.
See, because it's hydrating while it's destroying you.
Exactly.
I think
it's like smart. A positive and a negative, whatever that means.
Yeah. It's science. It's science.
It's science. I'm not a scientist. I just make these things up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So there's a lot of big things happening this week. Today, opening day happened for baseball. Dodgers opening day today. Lori Fedor, one of our dancers for our live show, she's a huge fan, so I just want to give that a shout out. She's a big Dodgers fan. The Masters are happening this weekend. I don't know if you're a golf fan.
I love playing golf. It's been a few years, and I love watching. I don't watch religiously. My pal Mark Ellis, you know Mark Ellis,
Yes.
Mark Ellis. He and Josh McCouga, they're the type that we were doing live shows today, and Josh had the Masters on, like looking out of the corner of his eyes.
I do that too, because now I have it in my brain that I'm going to be like a Gina Davis, like in my older adult age, I'm going to become a golf professional, a golf pro. You know, she took up archery and she got to the Olympics. So I'm thinking,
there you go. I think you can do it.
I had it on today, and I was taking a shower.
Yeah.
And I got out of the shower and I forgot that it was on. And as I got out of the shower, I just hear, and I was like, what the fuck?
Good shower. High fives. Good
something here. And
good use of water. You didn't over suds. Good stuff.
You smell good now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You had a musky.
As Jack Buck would say, we'll see you tomorrow night. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, damn, Chrissy. I thought you were sick.
Wow. She's putting the pressure on you. She wants you to do arithmetic.
You want me to be smart?
Yeah.
Oh no, I've gone 43 years almost without the smarts.
Yeah.
I don't want to start with that one.
Yeah.
And then, as I mentioned before, DMX passed away, and you're a big music guy. I don't know if you're a big DMX guy.
Yeah, not necessarily, but that's a name, and his music and who he is as a personality. You can't help the generation we grew up in. I mean, that's you're very familiar, whether you completely celebrate the music or not. And I celebrate the legacy of anyone creative, and who he reached as an artist. And there's been some great stories. He had a complicated life, but seemed to own that, and that's part of his journey and part of his story. So I absolutely, it's as you get older and those names that you grew up with start passing away, it kind of can affect you. And tip of a cap and cheers. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, it definitely, his music
definitely drops me back into a specific time in my life.
Yeah.
So it's very nostalgic, and it was very like early LA for me, because I've been out here now, since 98.
Same.
So,
same. Yeah.
Oh, what?
August 15th, 1998. You?
That might have been around the same, because that's when I started school. So yeah.
Oh, crazy.
We're going to talk about this because I think we're the same person.
We might,
but we'll get to that. But yeah, as I worked I was a professional dancer for many years, but part of my,
so was I. I'm kidding.
But part of my, DMX has a little part in paying my rent in the early days, because I was a go-go dancer. And I mean, that was the thing, was like Busta Rhymes, DMX, but if you really get into it, and I really suggest now, like, even if you aren't like a rap fan, he is such a poet, and his music, and because I was a fan outside of just hearing it in the dance studio or in a club or something. But his lyrics, and it seemed to be a pursuit of purpose. Like there was always this striving, like, what is my higher calling? And then also like a struggle with his spirituality. Mm-hmm. That's very, like, it's embedded in like every album and all of his lyrics and almost every song, except for maybe Party Up. I don't know. Party Up. Maybe. I don't know. But Jesus liked to party, turn water into wine.
Yeah. No. Hey, as Bono once said, about every U2 song is about love, desire, and the crisis of faith. I think that translates across many genres and many artists. I think that fuels a lot of us in a lot of different ways, and clearly did. Like I said up top, I understand. I've had conversations even today of just like some of the more complicated parts of his life, but I don't think that he's someone that ever shied away, and that's part of his legacy.
Yes.
His inspiration. It reminds me, like you, I'm a big Carrie Fisher fan, and mm-hmm. part of Carrie's legacy is her going, I'm effed up. Yeah. And that's who I am. That's who we all are when we face it. And so, I think that's part of it.
And I think it's very important to talk about, especially when it comes to addiction, mental illness, and things like that, because it's still to this day can be so taboo. People are afraid to talk about it.
Yeah.
But you do find solace in community, I think. And I think that's very important. And then Prince Philip also passed away. I don't know if you're a big Monarchy fan, but all I know about it is that Matt Smith played him in The Crown.
That's right. Yeah. I am you know, I wouldn't call myself a monarch fan or have watched The Crown, but I'm also fascinated with that whole thing. If that is, I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of Americans are, because we don't really have that, right?
And Princess Diana was like huge for our generation, I think, and that was
yeah.
I mean, did you have Princess Diana paper dolls?
No, but I watched the wedding. It was one of my early memories. I'm 45 next, actually 45 this month in a week. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. And then I was actually, I started my career in radio at my hometown, and I for my hometown broke in with the news that she had passed away in 97. Yeah. So it was a weird, you know, just so I kind of grew up. And you know, all the stuff recently with, you know, Meghan Markle, and Harry, all the stuff. It's kind of craziness, but you know, 99. That's a run. That's a good run.
That's too much of a run for me.
Yeah, I could see.
I don't know. What do you want to live old to like a ripe old age like that? I think that's past ripe.
That might be, which is why, you know, I know there was, you know, a lot of people were making, quite frankly, a lot of people were making fun of him, right? When the pictures from like a month ago started popping out, I was like, there but for the grace of God go all of us. If I'm in the back of a car looking like, I guess you can make fun of me, but hey, come on.
I've looked like that in my 20s.
Exactly.
Like there have been nights where I've, you know, I never want to judge anybody on their looks or appearance or, you know, anything like that.
No. And my grandfather passed away 2 years ago at 94, and he's strong old country Russian, Circassian actually. And my grandmother's still going 95, and you know, he had a good life, a good run. I think he was kind of ready to go, and I remember kind of saying goodbye to him. I had a chance to say goodbye, and I just kind of remember like, hey, this is going to be okay. You know, we had a good goodbye, and you know, he wasn't holding on to anything at that point, and I'll take that. If I have to go that long, I'll take that. Yeah.
Oh, there was going back to DMX, there was an interview that somebody tweeted about today, I think in February. Mm-hmm. The DMX was on a podcast or something. And he said, if I drop dead today, this was in February, if I drop dead today, I've lived a good life. And then, you know, of course, everybody's like, no, don't say that. But I mean, you know, it's interesting when, you know, people say things like that. Of course, it's just happenstance, but you know. And then a couple months later, he did sadly pass.
Yeah.
But at least he felt satisfied, and I think that's good.
You know, there's a lyric. Was it a lyric from a Noah and the Whale song on the last night of my life? I'll pay a good price to be done with my life, which and it's kind of said in a positive way of just like, you know, I think that's what we all want. That's all we want, whatever age. Chrissy wants to die at a young 88. You know, that's a good age to look back and go, good run.
A young 88. That's so Mexican of you. It's like, oh, we're kind of old. I think that's my grandmother passed away at 87, my abuela, and it's been 8 years last week, I think, or whatever. But you know, she had a pretty incredible life, and she's the person that, you know, she worked in the fields, and she was very she's kind of an entrepreneur in how to make fun and happiness out of nothing. And so I feel like I've taken on that and just giving Sebastiana Villa Pena a shout out tonight.
There you go. Find the good. Find the good.
Find the good. Find the good. Speaking of, okay, so you, Richard.
110. Richard. 110.
We've partied, Richard. I don't know about that.
That's the party life, but I admire Richard's you know, moxie there.
Yeah,
he wants to go all the way.
So is that what you are? You're Russian, and what's your?
My mom is just kind of a, you know, Heinz 57 SoCal American. My dad is what was that? I guess first generation. He was born in Graz, Austria, but he on the way out. My grandfather's Circassian, my grandmother's from Kiev, Ukraine, and long weird story. But my grandfather in World War II was captured by the Nazis and was press ganged into the Nazi army. Was either die or fight. And weird, long story, crazy story. Other Russian soldiers started picking on him because he was Circassian. He fought them off, all 5'2" of him. And the Nazis were like, "You're with us now." So he escaped and the war ended. And Mother Russia was like, "Great, you're not welcome back." And so they hung on in Austria, and then about 51, he and my grandmother packed up the babies and grabbed the old ladies and headed on out. And my dad was born there but raised in Iowa, basically in the 50s during the Red Scare, which is why my dad, for a long time, his first language was Russian, and he doesn't speak it anymore. With McCarthy and all that stuff going on in the 50s. It was a bad time to be a little kid from Russia in America. So, yeah. So that's me.
So that's so unusual. The Russians are so welcoming usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've known each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
A very long time, but peripherally, it wasn't until recently, I think, that, that we've become better friends, but we go back. So my question to you is, what is your first memory of me?
You? See, my one of my best friends and writing partner, former writing partner, but always writing partner, Matt Key, over there at Acme. And then, I was doing stand-up regularly with Christian Harloff and that gang up in room 5, which shared that building with that.
So it was very Downton Abbey. It was like the upstairs and the downstairs. So there are people. there was comedy going upstairs. There was comedy going downstairs. But I was doing sketch and improv, and then you guys were upstairs doing sketch or stand up.
And I had come out of, so that was mid 2000s. So I started doing stand up in 2003. But I moved to LA to do sketch comedy. I did the old, the training, the groundling stuff, and did that for about 4 or 5 years. And that whole thing kind of twisted my brain about sketch and everything that I was outside, but I was always curious with Acme, and, the great and wonderful Brett Sheridan was there at that time. Yes. My pal Josh Padgett, Jamie Kaler, a lot of people I knew. Jody Miller was doing stand up there, everything. And I just knew that crew. And I think one of my first memories is you walking up into the bar. And I remember like either Key or Harloff were like, "Oh, that's Claudia." And I was like, "I don't know who Claudia is, but that's Claudia." And that I think I'm sure I saw you perform at some point or another too, because I'd pop in to sneak a show in or something like that. But yeah, that was about it. And then it was later on. Then you would friends with some other people. And I remember, you mentioned Jarena, her great taco curls, but I do a lot of my Star Wars Force Center podcast partner, Joseph Scrimshaw. He knows me through other things too. So then it just kind of, life takes you back here. And I remember hanging out at one con or something. We hung out a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's so interesting how that happens. I just remember you being you were just super aloof.
An a-hole.
No, not an a-hole, because I didn't know you. But just being a guy who was aloof. Right. Lurking around Amalfi.
These are upstairs. Not good. None of these are good. Aloof. Lurking. I mean, not quite a prick. No.
I never thought you were a prick or anything like that, because, again, I didn't know you. It was just like, all right, this is guy.
Here's my thing. I am a performer through and through. I use comedy to communicate, right? I use otherwise I am that classic shy in the corner of the room. I'm not a class clown. I was never a class clown. I was one of those kids in the quiet corner. So I have my old job. I was a director of public safety for years. I used to be at the farmers market in the Grove. I was at a big mall. People there my nickname was Asshole.
What?
And I'm the nice. I'll say I'm grumpy. I'm a curmudgeon, but I'm pretty nice.
You're very nice.
I'm very shy, and if I don't feel I have anything to say, I'm not going to say it. But so I laugh at that, because this is not the first time I've heard that. In fact, my girlfriend, who I cohabitate with, we've been together now coming up 4 years plus years. When I got hired on at Collider, where she worked doing some stuff. She's an actor and then was doing some stuff with Collider. She heard rumors that all my friends, Josh McCuca, Mark Ellis, Christian Harloff, and Mark Riley and Mark Ellis, were saying, "Oh, we hired Ken. Oh my God, he's funny, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy sounds great." And then I showed up. I didn't talk to her for 2 months, and I didn't say a word. And she was like, "This guy's a dud." This guy's an a-hole. And then we were on set one day, and I was making little jokes, and she was like, "Oh, I get it. I get you. I get who you are." And now we're together. So I'll take aloof. That's a nice version of it.
No, and I say that because I think that I'm very similar. It takes me a while to get into a groove with somebody. I'm not an introvert. I'm not at all, actually. I'm very social. I like to be around people, but it does take me a second to sort of like, if I don't know you, it's going to take me a minute. So I never thought you were an asshole because I understand that. Again, another one of our similarities, I think, because I've constantly been called a bitch my entire life, or like an ice princess and things like that. But it wasn't because of it. It was just because I think that I'm nice too.
Yeah.
But it takes me a minute.
You're wonderful. I've enjoyed getting to know you the last few years. No, it's I would never describe you as an ice prince or anything, but I do remember you're also tall. Like you're tall, right?
5'10".
So
I've had some spinal surgery, so I might be 5'9" now. I don't know.
Okay, we'll put a rod in there and move you. But, so you feel you're a presence. You walk in, you're a presence, and I do remember that. And I could see where people will call you ice press. I wouldn't, because I was too busy being aloof to judge you. So that would make sense. But then, someone like Matt Key, it takes a while to get to know me and Claudia.
Yeah.
Matt Key, all 6'5" of that, dopey, wonderful nerd. He's the type that just he's hugging you within 2 seconds. And I'm like over in the corner, like.
And I didn't like Matt Key because we started our sketch and improv classes together. That's how we got to know each other. And I didn't like him because he made me so uncomfortable because I'm not a hugger. And I was so and he was just like, he would just come up and pick me up. And but to this day, I mean, I'll tell you off air, some of the stuff that he's done, but he's amazing and wonderful. And, but
no, he's a big sweetheart. And so, yeah, that's so funny. I'm laughing. I'm laughing. I would never have said that about you, but I do remember thinking there's a wall, there's a shield around her, just like there's a shield around me. I get that. I see that now. But now, thanks to the help probably of these and con parties, and con
panels to get to know each other. So I'll go into that because it was so funny. So a couple of years ago, we did a music. Was it this one in Seattle or the one before?
We've done a couple of music ones. We did. Yeah, it was Seattle 2019. Yeah,
but whichever one we did first or whatever, we were sitting next to each other, and I think Dorina was leading the panel, and she was asking these questions, and literally almost, except for Young Guns 2, our answers were the same.
Which is funny because I'm known as a Star Wars guy. That's where my podcast, and I wrote the book about it, so I get it. And everyone expects me to answer Star Wars. And the question was, "What's the first movie you remember seeing in the theater?" And I was like, "Annie." And I believe you were like,
"That's my answer."
And I was like, everyone wanted me to be like, Empire Strikes Back. I was like, it's a hard knock life for me. It's a hard knock life.
So where did you grow up?
So I was born in the city of Orange County here. Okay. Orange County, but 1982, we moved up to the Central Coast of California. So I grew up in a city called Arroyo Grande, which is part of the 5 cities, Pismo Beach, San Luis Obispo, is about 10 minutes north of that, about 2.5 hours of north of LA.
Yes. So Lori Fedora is one of my great friends, and we've known each other for a very long time. We've done several shows together. She dances in our live variety show that we do. Our dream is to do a Palm Springs Follies. I don't know if you're familiar with Palm Springs Follies. They've since gone away, but it is in Palm Springs, and you have to be 55 to do it. And we've always wanted to do Annie because I've got to play Pepper at some point before I die.
Nice.
Lori's going to be Annie.
See, you're going to hold on, Claudia. You're going to hold on for one more day, like Wilson Phillips sang, and you're going to get to do the Follies.
I just think that that's so fascinating because I grew up in Texas, and you grew up over here on the West Coast. But we had, that wasn't the only answer. It was also like, what's the greatest soundtrack or whatever? And you're like, Last of the Mohicans, and I was like, I'm going to say Last of the Mohicans. Like that, like every answer was so similar.
Yeah.
Wow, this is pretty intense and fascinating how pop culture just permeated at that, I just, oh God, again, science. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, no, it's what you were just recently on my show, Internet for Old People, over on the GPA, because I did that show because this is the things I want to explore, like, especially as we all get, older. We hate to toss that word around, but we get older. This is our generation that we grew up. Pop culture became so big, I really think, in the mid 70s. Explosion of TV, technology, Saturday Night Live, things like that, Star Wars, Jaws, and we all carried that stuff forward. And it was a shared experience. Therefore, it is a language. So if I say, "Stay alive, I will find you," you'll be like, "Oh, and we have a shared different parts of the world. It's a unique but shared journey.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, again, just and hilarious. So when you were doing Room 5, was that white boy comedy stuff?
It was called, I don't know.
Or is that one of the nights or whatever?
No. It was, so there was a company called Rebels of Comedy, TK and a guy named Mark Franco ran it. They kind of split the business, and then I think TK is still doing Rebels of Comedy, and Mark started a company called White Boy Comedy. He goes, "It was always my dream to do it," and it had something to do with his youth and where he grew up and the city he was in, and he was kind of like the white boy in the neighborhood, and he always wanted to do it. So that's people will see that banner now on old clips and be like, "Were you a part of something called White Boy Comedy?" I'm like, don't worry. And yeah, so and that's what
we're big fans of the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, like it's all.
Exactly. All of that's taken on new meaning, very understandably.
They were opening at the insurrection.
Yeah. All those folks were doing that. So I started doing, I was doing stand up there regularly, and I did, like, I was a sketch. I always had an influence of stand up, but I wanted to do sketch, and I was very influenced by, Saturday Night Live, Monty Python. You may have heard this troupe called Kids in the Hall, influenced me greatly back in the day, and I moved to LA for that stuff. And then I got kicked out of that world a bit and got burned and let myself. And then I moved into stand up and was doing that with White Boy Comedy weekly there at Room 5.
And that was the Groundling stuff.
Yeah, the whole system there. And I don't hold any.
No, but you're not the only one. I mean, we had several. We had so many people that came to Acme that just wanted to perform. Just wanted to get on the stage and had kind of a PTSD situation with Groundlings. Even the only reason I didn't go to Groundlings because it was, again, the only thing that I knew. Like, I had booked this commercial.
Yeah.
I'd been strictly dancing but then I got this same. Vogue. Oh, good. I mean, that was before my time and your time, but I like that you know it. But yeah, I made the room laugh, and I wasn't sure how, but my brain is so technical because of the dancing. I was like, I need to figure out what this is. And the only thing I knew because of SNL and their history and stuff like that, it was like Groundlings. But I called and I never got a call back. I emailed, never got an email back. So I just went and explored other places. So I never had that experience, but I know of it because we had so many people that had gone through it.
Yeah,
it's an intense process.
It's intense, and as you build it, as you get a couple years into it, which I did, and it gets competitive. I'm okay with that. I'm a sports guy. You like sport. I'm okay. A little competition. We'll see who wins, who loses, but along the way, let's try to help each other. And I don't have, I was bitter for a little bit, but I was just bitter at myself. I went through a lot of things, and I was going through some stuff, and it was actually one of my directors there, Karen Mariyama, was the first to kind of be like, she loved me, and she goes, I hear some things that I think are wrong with you because your sketches are showing these things, and she was right, and you went to therapy and all this stuff. So it wasn't the whole system, but it's crazy. It's intimidating. I worked with Mikey Day and Kristen Wiig and Nicole Randall Johnson and Tim Blaney and Brian Keith Etheridge. All these like people have gone on these great, wonderful things, and it's just like the pressure to keep up, and I was a pretty damn good sketch writer. I wasn't a great actor. I remember I was actually in a sketch with Kristen, and we were on stage, and she took a line I wrote, got a big laugh out of it, and I just remember on stage thinking, I can't do that. The line was great, but she did something I can't do. Maybe I don't belong up here.
I also didn't do characters, so that would never have been a great thing. Like, I'm the straight person. I know my lane. Chrissy just went who, and I think that's in reference to Kids in the Hall because her husband is David Foley.
Oh yeah, trust me. I've been at some of your gatherings with Dave, and I've done I've had a few conversations. It's all I can do not to be like, you guys are part of the reason I even am in this town. Yeah, no, I was greatly influenced by Kids in the Hall's certain brand of just communicating with the world. I loved SNL, Monty Python, but they were of my time in the sense of I came up just going, yeah, I'd like to talk to the world like this. And that's why I came down, that kind of stuff. You know, I'm quiet. I'm the quiet kid in the corner. I need to communicate my thoughts through these kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you a story when I first met Chrissy. So Chrissy and I met in 2007. We did a musical called Caesar and Reuben, directed by Ed Begley Jr. And it was just one of those magical shows. Like, we're all still friends. And,
vaguely, yeah.
I mean, like, we just all clicked, and we still love each other very much. But we were sitting around, and I'd taken a break from Acme to come do this show. And she was like, so what did you do before? We were like talking in rehearsals, whatever. And I was like, you know, I'm doing sketch and improv at this theater, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what I've done. But I miss musicals. And she was like, oh yeah, my husband does a sketch comedy. I was like, oh, cool. Like IO or like, and she was like, he's in this group called Kids in the Hall. And I was like,
you know, he's in this group called the Beatles of sketch comedy.
Not the same. Please don't lay that on me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I was at a Toluca Lake bar one time with Grace. We're having lunch, and I look over, a couple years ago, and Scott Thompson was there with some friends.
Yeah.
And I just kept doing the weird stare. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You don't understand right now. You just don't understand."
Yeah, don't tell Dave, but Scott Thompson was my guy. Like, I have his book. I have Buddy Babylon. I have the Buddy Babylon book that I loved so much.
No, I love them. I love. There's a great from Brain Candy, which was a lot of people different opinions on. I love Brain Candy, and there's a great line where they like cut to him. He's got a character in the hallway, and he's like, and they're like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm just some guy." And my old roommate used to quote that every day to ourselves. I just kind of with too weird stuff. And Chrissy says, "And then you met him."
Let's put this up. And then you met him.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't mean to gush, but yeah, no, it was huge. It was huge, and when that was the other thing too. When you had met me, like, I was trying to find my way in the stand-up community, which is as competitive as sketch and improv is. It's a little more community based at times, and stand-up, it's like, I'll cut you.
Stand-up is something that's never been attractive to me ever. Mm-hmm. Like, I've never wanted to do it. I like having an ensemble. I like having dancers in a band. I just like being in a group. I did Joseph Scrimshaw, who's done the show, and Audrey's show. I did Story Collider.
Oh yeah.
It was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. I was so scared, and I don't need to do it again. So I give kudos to those of you who have been able to do it. Get up there and hold your own.
The Story Collider thing I haven't done yet. It's pretty intense because it's like this is storytelling, and you have to submit it, right? And they have to go over it, and it's.
Well, that's the helpful part. I found that to be super helpful because I edit things down and stuff like that. Because I would just, if it was just up to me, then I would just be rambling. But it's just terrifying. It's like, it's just you and a microphone. And I'm like, but I'm used to, all this.
No, I've quit stand up about 5 times. I've retired from it. Like 5. I'm like,
And why?
Because I never quite mastered. I was, despite what ended up happening with my sketch career, I was pretty damn good at some of the parts of that, especially the writing and playing some of the certain characters. I'm not like a wacky, crazy sketch guy, but like,
no, but you're funny and smart. And
yeah, I wrote little plays with my sketches, is what I got told, and that doesn't always necessarily translate to a successful show, but it's good. But I hit some depression just in a lot of spots of life. I was working this day job, and I was watching other friends, and not jealous, but you just watch other people start to get things, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? And it was my friend Brian Keith Etheridge and my other friend Peter Sprite who were like, we think you should try stand-up. You have a unique perspective and you can share it with the world. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. Because I'd watch stand-up. My dad and I used to sit up and watch Comic Strip Live, I think on Fox when it was late 80s, early 90s. And so I always loved stand-up. But it's intimidating. It is intimidating. And I have good shows, bad shows. I had a great debut, at a bad second show, and the first 100 don't count, as well, my friend Peter would say. I just never fully was comfortable on stage because of some of the stuff you're talking about. Then I left, And then, I started in radio in the mid-90s. I've been in broadcasting's kind of what I love, the microphone, live air, that kind of thing. And I've just slowly, I think I'm in a better spot. And I think it just, for me, it's I'm a little bit of a late bloomer of stand-up, of just being myself and knowing how to, again, communicate to the world what I want them to hear through that medium. And it's been fun to rediscover it. And I give all that credit to my pal Mark Ellis, who first asked me to return to comedy in 2014. I was like, hell no. And he didn't pressure me. He just slowly kept working until I did return. And now, I'll go with him around the country for some venues every now and then. It's a lot of fun.
No, but there is something to be said for, to have the wisdom and to have grown a bit. I mean, I feel like I'm a better dancer now, even though I'm not pursuing it professionally anymore and I don't have to do auditions. So I also don't have that baggage on it. But I feel like I am a better dancer when I go to class now, just because of that, and because I can put more of myself into it instead of being scared like I'm not enough or this or that, or, trying to get a job or...
Yeah, no, and look, there's some of that, and youth is king out here in Hollywood and all that. But, it's all true and it's all this and that. But there's something to be said for allowing ourselves to get a little seasoned, and that feels good when it hits, and feels good when you realize that's going on. We could have the big ageism in Hollywood conversation another time, but I'm happy to be where I am and just celebrate it again. With all this gray in my beard now.
And then Mark and Christian started their review show. And then I just remember Christian saying you should watch our reviews or watch our YouTube show or whatever. And being supportive again, like whatever you guys are doing. Yeah. I don't know what it is. Like we didn't know what YouTube was really, or, so I'm not even quite sure when it turned into Schmoedown or when you got involved in it or...
It's here's the thing. It's, I've said, I was like a lot of people out in this town. I was stuck in a day job that for 17 years and all this stuff. And it was a great job and I had fun and crazy times and tense times and crazy stuff I dealt with, and it paid the bills. Right. And I was ready to walk away. I was ready to move home. And slowly digital media started to emerge. And it's weird to think the thing that quote got me out of my day job, and look, I'm struggling to, this costs too much money. This truly, I'm going to have to recycle. I can't. We're all surviving, but I don't have that job anymore. And the job that got me out of that didn't exist when I was crying in my car going, I want to get out. You don't know what's in front of you. You don't know where the path takes you. And you have to be able to trust that sometimes. So long story short, Harloff, and for those who are listening who don't know, Mark Ellis and Christian Harloff, two great stand-up comics in the mid-2000s, and Ellis is still going strong in comedy.
I was like, only in the mid-2000s.
Only mid-2000s. Christian stopped. Stopped. He started getting into more. He also got married, and that wasn't necessarily the reason it stopped, but he kind of changed, and he was started getting producing more, and he started doing these movie reviews on this thing called YouTube. And
up until then, all you knew was, Siskel and Ebert or, like these very high echelon critics.
Yeah. And a friend of theirs, Martini Paratori, I think. Yeah, Martini was working at that was a Current TV, which is that Al Gore led TV thing. And she started bringing them on. They started reviewing movies. And I'm telling you, I always give both Christian and Ellis credit because not just me, a lot of us, you're talking about, because they'd send out MySpace messages. Hey, watch our review and everything.
Yeah.
We would like sit them down and be like, what the F are you guys doing? You're reviewing movies on the internet. Stop this. Like you're ruining your careers. Like, what are you doing? And they kept saying, like, no, we we're going to keep going. And they became the first YouTube reviewers to be certified as official MPA reviewers and then exploded. So long story short, they started doing podcasts in 2012. I started producing the podcast for them. It had been a few years since I'd been in front of a microphone, but I was a morning show DJ and a rock DJ for about 4 or 5 years in the 90s. And so had that kind of background. And then that was late 2012. And Tiffany Smith was a co-host. And then we started Josh McCouga, Mark Riley joined the show. And it just kind of became a thing. And the whole digital media movie punditry world, which is still not my favorite world, but it kind of blew up around us and we were part of it. And Actually, I was producing over at Defy Media for their Screen Junkies brand, and then I was at Collider, and now we're seeing that the industry's shifted, and a lot of us have lost our jobs, and we're on our own. But that just came out of nowhere, and that's kind of where it began.
Yeah. I think that we should go ahead and show, because I want to talk about Good People Association, but I want to show your a clip. So I was fortunate to do your third episode of a new show on your new channel. Do you want to talk about your new channel real quick?
Yeah, the new show or the new channel?
The new channel.
Yeah, so we being me, Josh McCouga, who was the host of the History Channel show Eating History not too long ago, Mark Riley from Schmoes Know and Collider and all that stuff, great screenwriter, and a guy named Eric Bass, who is the bass player in a band called Shinedown. We started a company called Good People Association. Eric kind of reached out to us, kind of got it going. He was a fan of our work, and we got to know him. And, you know, in this town, you hear a lot of people like, hey, I'd like to help you do something. And you're like, sure, pal. You got a blue check mark by your name, but whatever. He came through and launched this company with us and kind of got us off the ground. And we have a studio. We built it safely. Tough year to launch a company.
Yeah.
And long story short, it's a production company. It's a digital brand, but we call it an empire of fun. We have a lot of focus on charity. We named it the Good People Association, not because we think we're good, but because we think everyone out there is. And we're trying to just bring a little positivity to the world. And not, I always say, not with blinders on, that we're not clued in and connected to the world around us and all the things going on, but just kind of what we say, our hashtag is find the good and focusing on that. It's silly shows, it's stupid shows, it's serious shows or serious moments, inspirational moments, trying to find some of those kind of stories. And so that's kind of the thought behind it all.
And I think that's so important right now. You know, I mean, I think if anything that 2020 has showed us is the imbalance of a lot of things. And so in a year that so many things were negative and leaning in that direction, in the negative direction, I think we forgot a lot about the positives, which there have been positives. And I think it's important to showcase those. If, you know, we still honor everything else that's going on, like you said, but we do need both to feel healthy and mentally happy, you know? Mm-hmm. So we are going to show a clip of your show. Oh, set this up. Well, I'll say he has a show called, is it Internet for Old People?
Internet for Old People, yeah.
That I was able to do. You graciously asked me to do the third episode of this. This is the trivia part. So it's broken up into, you know, different sections. So we're going to show a bit of the trivia parts, and it's fun. So hold on. We're going to do this.
You got it. This is the trivia segment of the show here. I've been trying to find a name for it, so audience, maybe you GPA members can help. Today I'm going to call it
My hair is purple.
I Know It. We'll see
at the time.
Goes. So you guys, you and Adam
know
how
this
goes. We've got a category. Today it is TV shows. First to 5, your name, Claudia or Adam, is the buzzer. It's all for fun. There's no championship belts or any
all
big...
for fun and fun for all.
Fun for all. No big prize package here at the end. You just win like a no prize, like you did in the old Marvel days. All right? So I will... I'm gonna name, and you can steal. I'm going to name the year. If you want to take a big swing, you can guess it right off the year. If not, I'm going to name a cast member from the show beat by beat. Some are leads, some are maybe cameos or secondary characters. I try to be fair, and we'll see if you can get it. An audience, you can play along at home. If our guests here, Claudia and Adam, happen to steal something from the chat, you know,
I like Adam's like mountain sweater.
And so it's here we weird. Go. First one coming down the pipeline is from 1978. That's when it debuted in 1978.
I can't even remember what I submitted.
Oh, really?
Joe Catlin.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this and I was like,
oh, good guess, but no.
I watched this and I was like, oh, I was not listening to you.
You can either steal or I'll continue to go here.
78. It's not. No, continue to go.
Okay, next up, Charlotte Rae.
Oh, Facts of Life. Adam, Facts of Life.
Incorrect.
She's lower on the cast. She's lower on the cast. Wait, I know what it is.
Yep. All right, for freebie, no one gets the point. You both guessed wrong, but Adam, take a guess.
Well, Claudia, do you want to go now? Because I just hogged the...
Different Strokes?
That's the one. Different Strokes.
Charlotte Rae's lower on the cast.
Lower the cast. Yeah. Conrad Bain, Todd Bridges, Gary Coleman, and we can't forget Dana Plato as well. All right, so it's 0-0.
This is 30 of me. It's 30. I threw Charlotte Rae out there on purpose.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun.
There you go. Yeah, you and Adam were great. That's when the episode really started to find its legs. I got to explain the game shorter, apparently, watching that clip.
You're figuring it out. Yeah, that was Adam Witt, who was on the show with us from Movie Guys.
Yeah.
And, I think I love, you guys have been doing this for a long time, but a lot of other people have started to do these shows during this pandemic because we didn't have any other way to be creative, but I actually kind of love it. Like it's a way to have stayed connected. I also like the casualness of it sometimes, even like with the big shows like Colbert and Seth Meyers, all those guys, like I loved it when they were like doing the show from their house and like kids would run in or whatever. There's an authenticity to it.
Yeah.
But I think that's already been established like in this space. So I love watching the shows.
Yeah, no, it's, necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Yeah.
And as Frank Zappa would tell us all, and we felt weird at the start of the lockdown, not just with us over at GPA, but just in general, doing Schmodown, our things being on this. I was fortunate to have this home studio in place. I have a Rodecaster Pro and everything, but like not everyone has it. And it became okay because you saw like Nightline doing it or,
Yeah.
CNN was doing it. I was watching during a pretty tense recent political situation in January at the Capitol. I was watching them interview people, the same thing. And it was like, it ain't even, their technology is failing. So if I have a StreamYard problem, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's just about doing it.
Exactly. Well, Ken.
Yeah.
I think this is it.
Is it because I finished my drink? Is it because I finished my drink?
No, we usually go 30 minutes and we've gone over.
Well,
I think that's great.
I never shut up. So that you thought I was aloof. Really, I'm just in my head talking.
Shut up. I am going to say this one thing though before we go, and just it might make you uncomfortable. I hope it doesn't. It's just a compliment to you because part of our reconnecting as friends, that's been in the past couple of years or whatever, like previous to that, like I had left Acme for a time. Well, I left Acme and then they went away. But then you restored my faith in men, if I can say that. And I know this is going to come out of the blue.
Okay.
Because we haven't talked about this at all, but I was in this toxic relationship for almost a decade. And so I sort of been, I didn't even know that what was going on was not typical, wasn't normal.
Right.
And then, finally it worked out. I got out of it and all that kind of stuff. And then we started hanging out and it was kind of mind blowing to me that people like you was hanging out with Ellis, men are nice. There are still kind, good men out there. And so I want to thank you for that because it was really life-changing, actually, because I had been stuck in such a way of thinking and a perspective that wasn't healthy. And to come out of it and be like, oh no, look at the good people. They're there.
Hey, well, first of all, men don't do a great job of men don't do a great job generally overall.
No, but it's on it. But that was on a different. That was a different thing.
I totally get you. No,
because we all have flaws, and we're all we're not perfect people. I get that.
I'm aloof. No, I appreciate that. I it means a lot, and folks like Ellis, and I appreciate that, and I have it comes from mom, dad, and just an upbringing that probably has fueled the way I try to treat people. Not perfect, of course, but appreciate that. That's great. I appreciate that.
It was good. It was nice, and thank you for being in my life and being a friend. As Master P says, I'm going to say that now before you're on unconscious somewhere.
Well, the way I eat, there's a good chance that soon. No, appreciate it. I'll tell you, next seltzer drink and taco when we're in a situation is on me. All right, how about that?
All right. Where can we find you, Ken Napzok? Besides kennapzok.com.
Yeah, no, you can go to kennapzok.com. That'll link to everything. I wrote a book called Why We Love Star Wars, the Force Center podcast with Joseph Scrimshaw and Jennifer Landa. And then you can go to the GPA.fun, which is a real website, and catch up with us there over what we're doing. But I'm all about all around the world there. Just find my name.
Awesome. And please, everybody, please subscribe to us, especially on YouTube. We would love you just to subscribe and like all our videos. You can like us on Facebook, on Twitter, all the things. And we won't be here next week because there's a baby Foley who's not going to be a baby anymore. She's turning 18.
Right.
I don't know how that happened. But so we're taking the week off, and then we'll hold on. Chrissy's paying me a compliment, so I have to post it.
Legally, yeah.
So thank you guys so much for joining in. Thank you, Ken, and hopefully there's a taco crawl soon. All right.
Absolutely.
Good night, guys. And